you feeling? I know you're not feeling good.
I don't feel very well. I just asked before the camera started rolling. I said, what happens if I puke on camera? Do we stop them or do they keep rolling?
I always like to be transparent. I don't want to try to get through it and people go, something was wrong with Renae. Well, you're right.
She's pissed off at Steve.
Yeah, no. She needs to take a shit is what it is. She needs to. Yeah, but she's not feeling great. So we started the podcast right away.
But I'm also not pregnant. I'm feeling a little nauseous, but I am not pregnant.
Just to be clear. Thank God. It makes me feel.
It is not morning sickness.
It makes me feel very good that you are not impregnated. So that is good. I wanted to inform you. I just got off the phone with our partner Ponch over at Raw Western Wear. Guys, thank you so much for the support and the love because we are sold out of sizes.
I know. And there's a boutique in town that sells them. And our friends like go in to try and get a shirt. And they're like, we can't get them. There's no sizes. They didn't have them in my size.
But we've already made the orders. And we will let you guys know as soon as a new shipment comes. We're a mom and pop, man. We're not, some big deal here. I mean, I have a full-time job as a comedian and, Panchito has a full-time job as whatever he does. He just makes money. But we're so excited about it. Thank you guys so much for the love and support.
They're beautiful shirts. And you say mom and pop like there's a little old lady sewing the shirts, but like these are really beautiful, beautiful, well-crafted shirts.
Yes, but our storage is in Ponch's garage. If I'm being honest, and Ponch's wife Kiki is the one that is shipping them to you. So it is mom and pop.
I know people will be like, Renae, do they have my size? Can you go check the garage, see if my size is in the garage and the shirt they want.
I'm very, 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 very excited about it. How are things going with Garrett and the chores that you have put forth?
Pretty good. He's like helping with the dishes. The laundry we're not on, but that's okay. We can focus on laundry summer month 2. Right now, I'm just getting him to learn how to properly load the dishwasher.
I don't know, and Renae and I have 2 different styles, I guess, and which is good when it comes to raising kids.
Or confusing for them, I don't know.
Well, Renae's so aggressive, dude. Like Renae will get home and be like, not even like, I love you guys. How about a hug?
That's not true.
She's like, pick this up and do this. And how come you haven't done this? And we need to do this. And we need to add, you need to wash the dishes. You need to clean your room. You need to make your bed. You need to wash laundry. You're old enough to do all of it. And then his head just fucking explodes.
No, I don't think we talked about this last week. We made a summer bucket list chart. And I let them say like all the things they wanted to do this summer and things we already had scheduled and planned. But in the corner of the summer bucket list chart, it has chores for both Garrett and Delilah. And Garrett got to say like, hey, I think these should be my chores. He got to contribute.
No, what?
So did Delilah. It was cute. And the deal is that if we're going to do one of these summer bucket list items, they got to do their chores.
I am more of hey, you got to get this done. Can you get that done? And then I give them like a timeline. I don't go now, stop exactly what you're doing and go now. And I think that adding one thing every once in a while and getting him to learn that habit of that one thing.
Yes.
Like, for example, if we want him to load the dishwasher, let's just work on that for the next 3 weeks.
That's kind of what we're doing.
Instead of laundry, dishwasher, wash my car, take out the trash. Whoa.
But he was already making his bed. He already knows how to make his bed. So we're adding other things onto. I do ask him to pick up all his clothes off the dirty clothes at the end of the night. Like when we shut
aggressively.
No, when we shut down the house for the night, can we be like clean?
I'm just saying we have different styles of parenting. I treat Garrett like a grown-up.
I do too.
And I treat Delilah like a grown-up. I talk to him. Yeah. Have conversations. Renee's more like...
Delilah, it's hard for me to treat like a grown-up when she's like, this morning she was naked because she peed in our bed last night. So I just stripped her clothes off and put a towel and put her back in the bed. And she's curled up in a little ball naked. I don't want to go to school this morning. And it's hard to talk to her like an adult when she's doing that.
So you step away.
That's what I did.
You step away. I just, the cutest thing ever on that note is when she does end up sleeping in our bed, she'll go, Dad? And I go, yeah? Can you hug me? I'm like, yes, yes. I can totally hug you. Or she'll go, Mom? And then Renae will go, yeah? Can you hug me? And it's the cutest thing in the whole wide world. No, I just think, I don't know. I think when it comes to parenting, that if you treat them like adults and you treat them the way you would like to be treated, I think it is more effective.
Sure, of course.
Well, then why don't you do that?
I'm not that bad.
Renae treats our kids
this is what it
like
is.
they work for her.
I have to add.
No, I take it back.
No.
She treats fucking everybody like they work for her.
No.
Me included.
When you've asked 3 times, then it's like enough is enough. I asked 3 times.
No.
Now I'm over it.
Renae wants it now. Right? Renae's like sometimes Garrett's relaxing. He's chilling. He's relaxing. And I'm like, hey, dude, I walked in your room. There's clothes everywhere. Can we take care of that? I don't go, stop what you're doing. Go over there. Clean. Like,
no, that's because that kid.
But isn't that how you would like to be treated?
No, I don't shout at him. What I do with the tablet is I will give him 30 minutes on the tablet, and then we have to tap out and take a break.
Yes, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Get up
right.
and let's go do something.
And once we get him outside.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Inevitably, if I send him to his room to pick up his clothes, he's already up and doing something. Then he starts playing with something in his room, and he doesn't go back to the tablet. But if we let him, that child would be glued to a tablet for 3 hours, no problem.
No, that's the problem. Is yes, I get it, and I also understand from his perspective, it's fun. You know, when we were kids, sitting down and playing a video shoot, I played video games, Modern Warfare, until we had kids. Then I was up all night, dude. I was up till like 4 a.m, just smashing little kids, talking
this is
shit.
Weird. You're a grown man playing video games, but now I realize it's not that weird. There's a lot of grown men who play video games.
I haven't touched a video game controller since I had kids.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is I totally get it because it's fun, and I think it's a very male thing.
Yeah. Like
video games and you know, so I understand from an 8-year-old's perspective. I could not imagine being 8 years old and having the YouTube, the TikTok, the Xbox,
8-year-olds aren't
the
supposed
game,
to have TikTok.
the Nintendo Switch. I mean, they have VR. I mean, they have so many options.
Yeah.
So I'm not mad at him for enjoying some of those things.
Sure. But he and I had a very adult talking to him like an adult. He and I had a very adult conversation about how I wouldn't be on him as much about the tablet if he could self-regulate. But that's a very hard skill, and that's something adults struggle
I was going to say, for
adults
anybody
have to put themselves out on on a technology.
I'm like, I should not eat another taco. I know I shouldn't, but I fucking can't stop myself.
But we had a conversation about self-regulating and with his tablet time. And so a while there, I was setting a Google timer. And then I noticed he started setting it for himself.
I do put it on him. Where I will say, hey, do you think being on the tablet as long as you have been is a good idea? And he'll go, no. I go, well, great. Then finish. That's another thing. Like, you have to understand from a gamer perspective.
Yeah, finisher in the middle of your game.
Oh yeah,
your level,
he's in the middle of a game, and Renee's like, "Time to go, turn it off." And he's like, look, can I finish my game? Now, sometimes, yes, like I need you to stop right now, but dude, let the kid finish his game.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Very interested to hear Rick's point of view on this.
On chores?
No.
On the kids and your approach to raising them.
Do your boys have different chores?
Yeah. So we actually just did a list yesterday for each one individually.
How funny. I think it's common sense summer camp is what it is. Like the parents are like, this is what you need to learn that you're not learning in school.
But do you understand what I'm saying, Rick, about like the video games? Like they're awesome.
Oh yeah.
I mean, our age, we were addicted to freaking Mario Brothers. And it was shit. Now the games are freaking way cool. Awesome. Because your kids love the game, right?
They do. And to Renee's point, they do not know how to self-regulate. And so you end up, hey, get off. 10 minutes goes by, get off. 10 minutes go by. And then you just go, get off now.
Yes. Yeah. No, Mom, 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes.
Well, and then the problem becomes, man, why are you so mad, Dad? And it's like, dude, because I gave you the opportunity
Yeah.
to self-regulate. I asked you to get off, gave you some leeway. Then I asked you again. Yeah, now I'm losing my
So
shit.
that's where mom is at. Yeah.
And it's tough because we live in a world of technology.
Well, you always say that. Steve will always argue with me and say that, like, oh, Renae, like, don't let them not have it. Because I did, especially with Garrett, tried to withhold it as long as possible. You know, we would only use it on a plane when we would travel. And you were like, he needs, like, technology is a way of life. He needs to learn it.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
also feel like they'll catch up real quick.
No. Our plumbers are now walking in with iPads. The HVAC guy is walking in with an iPad.
Yeah.
You know, we're living in and then now with AI,
Yeah.
it's going to continue to progress. So, in my opinion, if you keep your kids away from electronics for too long, they're not going to be able to keep up.
It's not that
You
hard
know.
to learn. They will learn it. And there's a class and like it's built into their school curriculum. They will catch up.
I agree and I disagree.
Yeah.
What do you think, Rick?
I think I see both sides of that. I think technology is changing so fast that if they're not immersed in it right now, they may miss a step or two, and that step or two is pretty important. However, with AI, a lot of the things that we like writing or even coding, you know, you could just tell AI to do it, and it does it for you.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I know, and it used to be like let your kids learn how to code, encourage your kids to learn coding, and now AI does it.
You want to know something funny I did the other day? I said in ChatGPT, I asked it, "Hey, write a Steve Trevino joke," and it was actually pretty good.
Oh yeah, the Chief did that one time, and it was pretty good. It actually was.
Yeah, so there's your next special. You don't even have to write it.
That
I'll
is
just have
so
AI
weird. Oh my
AI
gosh.
write all my jokes for me, and we'll be done. Right?
Now I want to do it.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It is pretty crazy.
Just real quick.
Yeah.
On the topic of AI, Instagram has recently implemented whenever you post a photo and or video, it'll categorize it as being made with AI if you used in any way.
I saw that.
which
Yes.
Is a benefit to people who are truly creating things, and it shows that it's not made with AI in any way. But
Yes.
So-
So now what Mason's saying is like when basically like it used to be if you were like if you were an influencer and something was sponsored, they'd make it so now that you have to put hashtag ad or hashtag sponsored so that people know it's not, you know, just a standard post. And now it's the same thing with AI. If it uses AI, it's going to designate.
Everybody is going to think I'm crazy, but I watched Atlas last night, the new Jennifer Lopez
I
movie.
fell asleep. I always fall asleep.
And of course, the premise is very Terminator, right? Where AI has completely taken over, and this AI being has started to destroy humans because the AI is designed to protect the world.
Do you call it a being?
Yeah,
They call it a
whatever.
being? Yeah.
And the AI is designed to protect humans. So in order to protect humans, he has to kill humans, right?
Blade Runner almost.
Yeah, kind of right. So, but you know, I would say that 10 years ago or 30 years ago, when Terminator came out, you look at it and you go, "Oh, that's ridiculous." But now I'm watching this movie like, shit, this could possibly become
Possible?
well, yeah, and you know, it has been proven that movies have inspired the technology and scientists, right? So in this movie, she has to link up with the robot that she's in, and she puts the thing on her ear, and these neurons go into her head, and now her brain is now connected to the computer, and the computer is now connected to her, and the computer is learning about her and how she does. It was a pretty good movie. Yes.
Like shared knowledge.
And I was kind of freaking out because, babe, in this movie, J-Lo looks a lot like you.
He's like,
What do you
It
mean?
looks like you.
You think so?
Yes.
Yeah?
Rick, can you pull up a poster from...
Maybe it's just because my highlights right now are very J-Lo-esque.
Well, the only difference between you and J-Lo is that your marriage has survived. And that's very promising for us, is that you're not quite J-Lo. Do the one with the lasers coming out of her fucking eyes. That's definitely.
No, that looks like me. That one.
That's
The one where she
definitely-
looks possessed. That's
Doesn't
how it
that look a
looks
little
me.
bit like Renae?
We have very different bone structure.
What do you think, Mason?
You'll have a relative like structure.
Yeah, maybe the one in the where she's in the pod there,
Nice defined features, you know.
right? Pull it up bigger.
I could have been Selena.
You probably could have. You definitely could have been a little bit like Renae. No, I think so. Renae used to get.
I'll take it.
Renae used to get Sandra Bullock.
I used to.
Yeah,
I don't that much anymore.
We would be out in LA and people would be like, "Oh my god, I think that's Sandra Bullock," and then they would see me with her and they'd be like, "Oh fuck, no, that's Sandra Bullock. There's no way."
The other one I used to get was Idina Menzel, that
I don't even know who
plays
that is.
Elsa in Frozen. Well, she was a Broadway actress, but she was also in Glee. People started to know who she was after Glee.
I am super excited because we are going. Oh my gosh, I should talk about. Well, let's not talk about that. We're gonna skip an episode where we talk about my week. We'll just talk about general topics.
You made the show. That's what we'll say.
Yes,
you
I barely
almost
made the
didn't,
show.
but you made the show this weekend.
I will recommend Atlas, the movie.
So now I got to finish watching it. Okay.
I enjoyed it. I mean, it's of course it's sci-fi and fun to watch. Rick, did you get a chance to dial in on that one?
No, Godzilla -1 came out, so I watched that.
Oh, I'm into that. That's my next. That's on my list of next to watch. Is the Godzilla?
I still have to watch the weird one y'all said, but I was like, I'll watch it on a plane.
People got worked up about it. Unfrosted.
Uh-huh.
A lot of comments were like, "Fucking skip it," and then
Yeah.
other people were like, "It was fun." I don't know. I think it has everything to do with how you approach the movie.
Yeah.
But even like Atlas,
What
right?
your expectations are?
Like watching the movie, I already go, it's gonna be wild, it's gonna be sci-fi,
Yeah.
and I'm just gonna go along for the ride. But I think if you sit there and go and you start picking things apart, you're gonna find things that
Yeah.
you don't like. So you have to get into the space for Unfrosted of this is a mockumentary movie about Pop-Tarts, which is already fucking absurd, and it's going to be absurd. You have to put yourself
Go with it. Okay.
in that position.
Yeah.
And same with Atlas. You have to put yourself in the and by the way, J-Lo carried that whole movie.
Well, that's what I was
it
going to
was-
say. From what I saw, there were not
It was
many
all
other
her.
characters. It is like her in a robot.
Yep.
Almost
It's all
like
her.
Gravity, where it's just the two actors and
And usually the robot is in her.
Not that funny. Moving on.
Anyway, I enjoyed that movie, so I do recommend it to all of you. I mean, obviously, I'm not sitting here telling you that it's Oscar award winning film, but it's a good movie. But I don't think, and we've talked about this in show business, I think movie theaters will only survive with blockbusters.
Yeah. Like
You know,
have
the
to
bang
make
'em
you
up,
want to see
the-
a movie in a theater.
The bang
kind
them
of
up,
thing.
the shoot them, the blow them up, the Marvels,
Superheroes,
yep.
Avengers.
So
Yeah.
I'm very excited to watch. You know, Kevin Costner's my dude, and he's my pass. Did you know that he's doing a movie called Horizons? And he literally self-funded it, mortgaged his homes.
What?
Have you heard about this, Rick?
Of course, yeah. Yeah, he's putting it all on the line.
Now here's Rick.
What is this movie about?
It's a Western.
Ooh, nice.
But I'm
You banked your home on a Western?
Yep, I'm 1000% watching it.
Oh, well, of
But
course you are, but
here
Ooh.
is my question. My question is, if Kevin Costner could not get funding for this movie,
yeah.
what does that say about anybody in the industry trying to get a movie made? Like, that is insane to me. Like, he's coming off Yellowstone.
Yeah.
He's one of the
Yeah.
biggest faces in the world when it comes to. I don't know. I mean, Rick, why did they tell him no? Do you know anything about it?
I can only guess what the studio is saying is A, control, B, it may not be that good of a script, C is to do what he wants to do may be too much money, and so if you're going to risk all that with people not going to movies these days, you know, if you're a studio, why would you put the money into that?
Yeah, they weren't willing to make the risk for a Western, or
I also
because
feel like-
because it's not a bang 'em up, it's not a Marvel, it's not a, you know.
Well, if it's a Western too, I feel like traditional movies are not really being made these days. That's
Well,
not what's.
so-
It's always like, well, how is this different? Is
So
the
that's where I
question
was going
people
to
are
go. Is
asking.
that for the, you know, the movies I like are timepieces,
Period pieces. Yeah.
historical stories,
Which are expensive to make. The
I like,
costumes,
I like
the sets.
real life stories.
Yeah.
I like stories that are told in the past. I like stories about humans, and those stories are not going to be made for the movie screen anymore. They're going to be made to be, and it seems to be going in that direction where they're going to be watching them at home. But then, you know, I got to give it up to Shane Gillis. I've never met him. I don't know him, but I got to give it up to him. You know, his series Tires with no budget, fucking hilarious, fun to watch.
Yeah.
Dirty,
Glad you say that.
dirty. I thought it was great and dirty. One location. It's The Office meets, it's a reality meets a TV show, sitcom.
Yeah.
I mean, the banter's great. It's edgy. It's guy talk. I don't think women will like
I was
it.
gonna say I haven't seen it.
My fiance liked it. She
Yeah?
was like, okay, it's actually good. She said put it on. Yeah.
But he self-funded that.
Yeah.
And when I don't understand when these executives are going to start to figure it out. Right? When are these executives going to realize that if they get the fuck out of the way and let artists be artists, then things come.
I also just think like the landscape is so complicated right now. Like the business model of it all is so complicated right now. Is it network TV? Is it streaming? Is it YouTube?
I think if it's good, people
know
will
what I
find
mean?
it. I think if it's good, people will find it.
But I mean, as a business model, you almost have to know where is this going? Where is it going to live so that you know the business, the finance of it. How much money is it going to make wherever it's going?
I think the only person that can answer that is Mr. Beast. I don't think that we can get it down to that science anymore to go, what's going to be a hit, what's not going to be a hit. You know, we share.
Why do you say Mr. Beast?
Because that dude is so analytical and so into creating an audience that he's very intelligent when it comes to what sells, what's going to get eyeballs, how to do it. I think Rick would agree. Yes or no, Rick?
Oh yeah, that guy's brilliant.
He's brilliant. I mean, he is. If anybody had any brains, they would hire him to run their network because
They can't afford him.
they can't afford him. Yeah, there's no reason for him to go.
Yeah.
Case in point was Squid Games Live. He did that literally after Squid Games came out. Within a couple months, he did Squid Games Live, and then Netflix does the same thing and becomes a hit for them.
Yep. And you know, here's Shane Gillis. You look at his show, I can't even imagine the fucking notes they would have gotten. You know, at one point a dude dies and then they just have a great joke about it and then nothing else happens and you don't care. But I guarantee you a network executive would have been like, wait a minute. So when he dies, what happens? Nothing. It was set up to be a great joke.
Yeah.
The joke's over. What's next? You know, and Shane and the team, I mean, they say misogynistic stuff. They say things that they shouldn't.
It's a good push for Netflix.
I think it's great. I think it's
I
genius.
was like, this is great to have on Netflix. It's
Yeah.
You know, and it's like what I have always said, and maybe we need to get there where, you know, how do these networks not look at my stand-up, our lives, and make a sitcom out of it? And every time they try, they want to change everything.
Yeah.
So I almost want to go, well, shit, I'll self-fund my sitcom, right? And do it myself so that I don't have to deal with the notes and the bullshit. And,
Yeah.
you know, we used to, just to give you an idea, when I wrote on a TV show, we purposely put very risky jokes into the script so that the network executives would fight for those.
Would latch onto that.
And latch onto that and leave us the jokes we really want.
I do that with lighting.
Yeah, right.
Client jobs.
Yeah.
Put something that sucks so that they don't mess with the meat.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But yeah, you have to, so a lot of people don't truly understand what happened with the Dave Chappelle situation, right? People go, he turned down $50 million.
What do you mean? Oh, you mean his television show on
Yeah, the
Comedy
Chappelle
Central.
show.
Like the very
Right.
beginning Dave Chappelle.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when Chappelle started on Comedy Central, very, very small network. And now remember, I'm telling this story. I've heard some of it from Chappelle. I've heard, so I'm not, don't quote me on everything and go, Steve Trevino said this is exactly how it happened, right? Because it did not, but I will tell you the gist of it. So when Comedy Central started, and it was a very small network, they completely left Dave alone. They were not bothering him. They were letting him do his thing. Boom, season 1 goes viral, becomes a huge hit. Okay? Huge hit. Now, what's crazy is because of Dave, that network grew by billions. Did not grow by millions. It grew by billions. Put Comedy Central on the map.
Yeah.
Got Comedy Central the eyeballs. The numbers were through the roof. So all these advertisers are now coming to Comedy Central as a whole.
Yeah.
Specifically because Dave Chappelle has now gotten this massive audience.
Oh yeah. Even
to
if
come.
you didn't watch TV, you knew what the Dave Chappelle show was.
Oh, it's still pop culture. It is still something. Okay.
The clips.
Dude,
Yeah.
Little John is like, Dave Chappelle ruined my life. He goes, I walk around and people still go, what? Okay. It was huge.
Yeah.
So, boom, all of a sudden, Comedy Central is now making billions.
Yeah.
Not millions, but billions. So then they go to Dave and say, we're going to give you season 2, $50 million. So he's like, I'll take the $50 million, but I happen to know you fucksticks because of me made billions.
Yeah.
What happened was all of a sudden, Comedy Central and the executives got very scared to lose the billions and started now getting involved with the Chappelle Show, right? Noting them to death. Can't do this, can't do that, can't do this, can't do that. And that's
We don't want to piss off sponsors.
And then that's when Dave said, fuck you guys, keep your money, right? I'm not going to make you any more money. I'm already rich, bitch, and I'm leaving, right? So people sit there and they go, he walked away from a $50 million contract. How can he do that? Well, when you look at it as a whole, you're like, why are you fucking with the formula that made you these billions of dollars? Why don't you leave them alone? Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, $50 million to you guys is literally a drop in the bucket versus the money that I created for you.
Yeah.
And people don't know, he got paid shit.
For the first
For
season.
the first
I'm sure
season.
they didn't have any money to pay.
Right? So imagine, you go, okay, I am now going to be the spokesperson for Yeti Cups.
Right.
And all of a sudden Yeti Cups, all because of you, becomes a national brand and
Well, it's
billion
hard,
dollar
right?
company.
You can't say all because of me. And same thing with Chappelle. Like Comedy Central gave him the network, gave him the platform.
Oh, and I get
to
it.
reach an audience.
They built it, and they had this network
That takes
was
people and
continuing
work too,
to grow. But literally, from a $1 million company to a $1 billion company,
Yeah, it was explosive.
you're going to give me 50 mil, fine. But now you're not going to leave me alone.
Yeah.
Now you're going to overnote me. Rick, go.
Well, so you're talking early 90s, which is far different now. Networks are far different in terms of how they approach.
What was early 90s?
Chappelle Show.
Chappelle Show?
No, early 2000s.
Okay, early 2000s.
I was gonna say Rick's got a computer. We can look this
Early
up.
90s, I was
No.
in junior high, bro. That's just...
All right, so early 2000s. So that would mean South Park was on the air. So they already went through S&P with that. I'm sure they faced backlash from what that show did. So anyways, but my point is now we have a show coming out on Netflix, which I will guarantee you right now is going to be the number one show on Netflix.
Can we promote it right now?
No. Well, I'm going to cut this part out.
Okay, so he cut it out, but let me tell you something, people. He is not full of shit. It is going to be number one on Netflix. No doubt about it.
But to that, so you got to imagine S&P on that is going to go through the roof because of the subject matter, right? So we're going to have to get notes that Netflix typically doesn't give. Netflix, and you guys
S&P, hold on, let me educate our audience.
Yeah.
S&P, which Rick is referring to, is standards and practices.
But that's because we're talking about real legal shit. So they're going to go through it with a...
Yes, Renae, but remember what we had to do with Netflix in terms of blurring or getting your parents to sign.
Yeah, I mean, with
I
my
don't know
special, Netflix was like, did your father-in-law really have Bell's palsy? We need to make sure. And I'm like, yeah.
Every
he did.
family member had to sign a release saying that they were okay with anything. They asked questions like, is there a real Bryson, and did he play on the baseball team?
Was that his real name?
I
Yep.
can't remember. What were some of the other silly questions S&P asked that when it went through
I can
legal?
pull them up, but is any of that creative? No. It's all like, is this real or not? So how many notes did they give on creative? 0.
Oh, yeah. But there was one when they asked about Bryson.
Yes, but I'm sorry to interrupt, honey. When I wrote on a TV show for Comedy Central, all the time it was, well, we don't think this joke's funny, or we don't get this bit, we don't approve this sketch. I mean,
And I wonder if that was a Comedy Central thing, because wouldn't you say like a lot of people on the writing staff, even because it was a young network on the executive level, were people who had tried to pursue careers in stand-up comedy? And so perhaps there was a little bit of like, we know funny happening.
One of the biggest problems in Hollywood is nepotism and writers. And the sad part is that
Writers are a problem.
they are
Writers
a problem.
are a problem.
They're a problem. Let me tell you why. Because we cannot do what we do without writers, right? I can't do my stand-up if I don't write, right? So yes, you absolutely need writers, and writers are very important. The problem is that there's a lot of nepotism and friend stuff going on.
Yeah.
So historically speaking, in the comedy writing world, Harvard has the Lampoon.
Yeah.
And a lot of Harvard writers are in Hollywood in the comedy space because they wrote on the Lampoon.
Yeah.
And Harvard guys take care of Harvard guys.
Yeah. Well, that's like
Right?
A&M. We
And
talk
they're-
about that with
yeah.
A&M all the time. It's
And
the same thing.
they're not funny. They're not funny, but they get hired because their buddy from Harvard is now a showrunner, and he came from the Lampoon, and
So they're on the
going to
writing
hire
staff.
Lampoon guys.
I don't know
you
that that's necessarily.
Can I finish my thought, please?
Yeah.
Please. And then what happens is, say for example, I am given a sitcom, right? Well, my sitcom is going to have a writer, and they're going to have a whole staff of writers.
Yeah.
When my sitcom fails miserably, if it does, the writers will then literally hop from my gig to another gig, and I will be labeled as the Steve Trevino comedy show did not work.
That failed.
But
yeah.
the writers do not get labeled, right? They don't go, well, that writing staff just does not need to be writing anymore.
Yeah.
What happens is they end up on another show and another show and another show and another show because they were at the Lampoon at Harvard. And if you got into Harvard, I can tell you right now, you had very little pain in your life and you have very little to draw from, and you're probably not that funny. But now all of a sudden you're in this system and it just dilutes television, it's the same writers writing the same shit over and over and over, and nobody ever goes, that writer has to go.
Yeah.
That writer has had 4, 5, 6 opportunities. It didn't go well. They're gone. Never happens. They just keep staying in the rotation.
And that can
Yeah.
be said about all aspects of production also.
Right.
Every type of role or situation has an in or something like that.
Right. So what do you think about that comment, Rick? Are we going to get in trouble for that?
Oh yeah, for sure. I can't touch that anywhere near that. I still work with these networks, but I will say, Brian Hart has always got interesting takes on this. Like he has always been the best. He's so influential in my life with Mad TV. So when you talk to him about writing, he has the same ideas as you, but he has to oversee everyone. So all the people that get have a horrible show that get put under him, he has to fix all their work, and it's going to come out good. Because of how
you
good
hope.
the writer. Well, you hope. You're right. You hope. You're right.
And not to mention
about the head writers.
What people don't realize about Hollywood is there's a lot of leveraging going on, right? So there's a lot of, hey, I represent this writer. I want this writer to be on Mad TV, but he has a junior writer that is part of the package. If you want him, you got to take him.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of leveraging. So a lot of people end up in situations because they have a good agent and they're attached to the showrunner, they're attached to something where they get leveraged in there. And now all of a sudden, but even, for some reason, Hollywood will not give up on frontmen too. Right? You look at, Seth Rogen, and I'm just speaking facts here. I like him. He's been very nice to me over the years. Seth Rogen has lost more money making movies than he's ever made, and they continue to let him make movies. So I don't know, right?
Yeah. Well, to go back to what Rick said and piggyback on his comment about writers and in the writers' room, like ultimately you need people, you need content creators, you need idea generators, right? And when you get a group of writers in a room, they're supposed to generate a bunch of different ideas, and some of them are going to be shit and some of them are going to be great. And it's the head writer's job, like a head writer's reputation and their credits and their resume is really important because they're the ones that have to sift through that.
But what's even sadder when it comes to comedy writing is that these writers are constantly stealing from us stand-ups. Constantly. They're using us for inspiration. We have caught them hiding in the back of the Comedy Store watching comedians. One of the most offensive things I've ever heard a writer say. So this writer, and you can look it up, Rick, Modern Family wins an Emmy. The whole writing staff goes up there, and literally the head writer goes, gosh, we were having a hard time coming up with ideas. We had already scoured YouTube for ideas, couldn't find anything. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. What the fuck did you just say? That you've been scouring YouTube, which means that you as a writing staff go, we're out of ideas, go to YouTube. Basically saying, go steal.
Well, that's hard. You want to talk about all the screens and all the technology. Like, where does inspiration come from? Where does a painter's inspiration come from?
No, I'm sorry. You're a writer of a show and you're going to YouTube for ideas to steal from maybe a clip that you find from some poor bastard stand-up comedian trying to make it in the business.
Yeah.
I did a joke, and I'm not going to say the show, and I have seen my jokes end up in sitcoms.
Yeah.
I have seen them.
Ideas,
verbatim.
premises.
I have seen my jokes end up on sitcoms. I was so excited because I'm at the Hollywood Improv performing, and this maybe the biggest showrunner of all time, who went on to have one of the biggest shows on HBO ever, is in the audience. And I'm like, oh my God, I get to perform in front of this guy, right? I kill it. Kill it. Literally 2-3 months later, all my comedian friends are like, dude, your joke is on this show. From that dude.
Yeah.
And it is heartbreaking because here I am struggling, trying to make it, trying to be a writer, trying to get on a network, and you're just going to blatantly take my shit and put it on your show?
Yeah.
Did you find it, Rick, that clip I was telling you about?
I didn't. It wasn't coming up on there, but...
But I'm watching this speech, Rick, and I'm like, what did you just say?
Yeah.
You blatantly admitted we go to YouTube for ideas. So I guarantee you they're like, hey, go watch comedians.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you doing? Why is that okay? Because it's not okay for me as a stand-up to steal somebody else's stand-up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But it's okay for you as a network to go to YouTube.
Well, it's not a net. It's not.
That's
the
what I love
network that's doing it.
If I were in that writing room, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's like if I were in that writing room, in that group of writers, we're like, fuck, dude, we're
Out of
You know
ideas.
what I mean? It's like, let's call a comedian. Let's call a stand-up guy. Let's call
Right.
people and say, hey, would you mind coming in and let's shoot the shit about some ideas?
Right. And
Yeah.
let's talk about your stand-up, and we'll get you paid a little bit and a credit.
Yeah, here's a day rate and a credit or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right,
We'll
something.
for it, you know?
I mean, you're a rich network. You're a number one show. This is Modern Family. You
Yeah.
can't bring in that stand-up that you got inspired by,
Right.
or
yeah.
at least give
Yeah,
them.
I mean that's right. You give them a bit part on the show and pay them for their joke. Yeah, I mean that's a classy thing to do.
You know, and you sit there and you go, and that's what I love about Don Barris. I was going to tell you. So Don Barris is a legend, true
Yeah.
fucking legend. He's a Comedy Store guy. He's the warm-up guy for Jimmy Kimmel. He's best friends with Jimmy Kimmel. He did Windy City Heat. He is a legend. Dude, he did not give a fuck. Because he knew all the writers and he was in Hollywood so long, dude, he'd throw them out. He'd go there and be like, you're writing on this show. Get the fuck out. I mean, he would like, you should
Call
not
him
be.
out.
He would like call him out. But dude, it was so blatant. Some of these guys would come in, sit in the back, and pull out a notebook while they were watching us. And it's like, what are you doing, dude? You know, and that's why I think that stand-up and a good stand-up is the ultimate in versatile talent in Hollywood. And I don't think they take advantage of us
Yeah.
like they should. And we never get the respect from the industry. When we are writing, producing, directing
Yeah.
all of our stand-up, we wrote it, we created it, we're telling it, we're acting it,
Yeah.
and we don't get any, because a comedian can always turn around and be an actor. You cannot turn an actor into a comedian.
Yeah.
You can't. It's too hard, right? What do you think about that, Rick?
Whew, there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. What do you want me to comment on? Because I think that
I mean, do you
you're
think
right about
that-
the actor?
I mean, do you think that's a true statement that the stand-up is...
It takes a sick person to be a stand-up. It really does.
Why?
It takes a very special, odd.
She called me
twisted
today. She's called me
person.
sick, odd, twisted, and special.
No, I mean,
All those things right there.
because no, it's so freaking hard. You have to be really good at like getting sucker punched and getting back up, right? Because till you find a way a joke works. But then also to like, I don't know. I just think comics are very special, unique individuals. How are those adjectives? Were those better?
I and you know, I don't want to brag about myself, but I think we are the most talented. I think stand-ups in the industry are top 5 most talented.
And I would say that in order to be a comic, you also have to possess a certain amount of ego.
Yes, you have to have a big ego. You do have to have a big ego, but to be able to walk on stage, because remember, you know, and I'll use Gabe as an example, right? Gabriel Iglesias demands the same ticket price as a Metallica, as a Lionel Richie,
Yeah.
as a Broadway show. But it's one dude
Yeah.
and a stool and a microphone.
Yeah.
And people leave that experience just as happy, if not happier, than they leave an experience if they're a Metallica fan or it's one dude. No pyros, no smoke, no video screens,
Yeah.
no band, one dude.
Yeah. I mean, I think it also has to do with the power of laughter, right? Like, even just if we're talking about like endorphins, right, that are released when people laugh, if we're talking about a group of people collectively laughing at the same thing,
But that's what I was going to say.
There's a lot of power in
What a
that.
crazy art to be able to make 2,000 strangers laugh at the exact same time.
Yeah.
To be able to craft that and to be able to go, when I say this, they're all going to laugh at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, I remember there was a couple comedians that wrote for me for Relatable, and their big joke was they would always light themselves on fire when I would do a certain joke because they knew it was coming. They'd be like, okay, Steve's going to say this, and then the audience like, because we had it timed. But you know, even when I was filming for you and Rick, you guys after a while knew, here comes the laugh.
Yeah.
Here comes the laugh.
Sure.
So to be able to craft that and to tell that story and to make people laugh and, you know, in my case, to make people cry, to make people feel something, you know, which is why, you know, John Leguizamo, such a talent.
Oh, yeah.
Right? His one-man show, I've watched every one of them and I've enjoyed them.
I mean, but when you said, you make them laugh, you make them cry, you make them feel, you make them think. I mean, that's what the movies are supposed to do too, right?
But that's exactly my point. You had a whole entire production, moving pictures, actors. You know, I'm doing it.
One person, one voice accomplishes the same thing. Yeah.
What do you think, Rick?
I think you're right. I think I don't want to say this person's name. When I was in Detroit, I met someone at your show. Renae, you know who she is, and she's had such a hard time. And then she comes to your show, and I just watched her die laughing. She had tears in her eyes, and you could just tell she needed that night. You know, so I think that there is an escapism that the movies have, the stand-up comedy has as well. I don't think you escape when you go to a Metallica concert. Like it's you're there and it's fun, it's entertaining, all that, but it's not an escape like your show is an escape.
I agree. I mean, and now with the Sphere in Vegas, right? It's an experience. Did you enjoy the experience? You bought a ticket. Did you enjoy the experience? Yeah. And again, $1 billion Sphere with all this stuff going on. Do you leave the Sphere and go, man, I had a great time? Yes. But I would say that when you leave a stand-up, you still get to go, oh my God, we had a great time. Yeah. We laughed. We had a great time. It was a show. We didn't have to talk. Somebody else talked for us. It was awesome. Yeah. I don't think there's another medium like that.
Yeah, when you hear people after your show, they're repeating your jokes again. You don't hear people repeating lyrics after that, or, you know, in a movie's that too, like, hey, you remember that scene. So it's interesting to hear people, you know, especially like, what's your shirt say? It's like...
Awesome dad, average husband.
Yeah, so I've seen people buy that shirt after hearing it and then repeating that to Timmy as he's selling it. Yeah. Like Timmy hasn't heard that joke.
What I have loved the most is that I have become part of people's lives, right? So they'll see me afterwards and they'll go, dude, every time I walk out with the laundry in my hand, my husband goes, the laundry, right? So that's cool when people go, you know, we at my house, you know, we call him the trash man and I'm the bag lady.
That's what I was gonna say.
So I love the fact that not only do we entertain them for the day, that it kind of continues to entertain them.
Yeah.
They continue to use.
It becomes something silly in their daily life.
Right.
Yeah.
So I do like this episode. It was very interesting. It was fun. We have some great sponsors. We already talked about Rao. Old Salt Coffee. We got to talk about those guys. They're absolutely amazing. Please look them up. Aztec. Give those guys a chance. They're the very, very best. And they're the most kind, hardworking people. And they have every vehicle that you could possibly want now. From Fords to Dodges to Jeeps to Chrysler to Ram. And of course, my favorite, Chevy. So give those guys a chance. We're very excited. We'll talk about it next week. We're taking Daddy Raymond and Mama Mia to go see Lionel Richie tonight.
It's like he
has no idea.
It.
He loves
obsessed,
Lionel Richie.
and it's a surprise. We just told him he had to come, that it's an early Father's Day surprise.
Yes, so it's going to be awesome. Thanks, guys, for loving us, and I hope you feel better, pretty girl, and you look beautiful. Thank you guys. Later.